Niner fam, it is Peter Lucas. Happy Peter Lucas today. We got this victory, 49ers 30-7 on Pittsburgh. I said in my pregame that I thought this was going to be a close game. Little did I know. You know what it was? I was just thinking too much about all the naysayers and all the things that could go wrong. But we here now. We here now. Week 1 football, 49ers in the building. You know what? Just let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'd like to know,
are you ready for start time?
Once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. And yes, 49ers in the building. Ain't no slow starts this week. Ain't no slow starts this season for the 49ers. They came out and they just put a beat down on Pittsburgh in their house. I don't want to hear anything else about Kenny Pickett. I don't want to hear anything else about this team not having, I don't want to hear anything else about this. The defense might take a step back. I don't want to hear any more about Brock Purdy can't throw the ball past 15 yards. I don't want to hear any more about any of it. It's over. It's over. All the naysayers can go somewhere. All these people that questioned. Now, we got some questions still. Don't get it twisted. I'm not very happy with the game management. Not very happy about the end of the game, and the personnel decisions with Kyle Shanahan. I'm absolutely not pleased about that. But this team came ready to play. 49ers came ready to play. Nick Bosa came ready to play. Drake Jackson, Drizzy, if you nasty. He came to play today. Kerry Hyder, who y'all wanted to cut, came to play. Javon Hargrave, earning that money. He got him a sack today. But these guys came to play today. Fred Warner was a beast out there today. Hufanga got himself a pick. Mooney Ward, even though he had some iffy plays in this game, he had a pick. And they answered a lot of questions today for me, but I still have questions about we're still seeing the same decision making from Kyle Shanahan. But I'm going to get into that later. Because right now we vibing. And this team is looking like a monster. People were picking this Steeler team to be in the mix, to win the North. They said they were much improved on the offensive line. They said a lot of things. Talking about Pickens, talking about Pickett. Pickett looks so great because he was doing this and that and whatever in preseason. We tried to tell y'all preseason doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter how good, bad, indifferent you look in preseason. Oh, and speaking of preseason, I just want I don't want this to be a show about gotchas and I told you so's and all that kind of stuff. That's not what we're doing. We're vibing on this win. But I want 49er fans to pay attention. I want them to pay attention to what happened in this game with Purdy in particular. we heard a lot of things from a few beat writers, and I'm not going to say any names, talking about how Purdy wasn't ready. They've got him on a pitch count. Arm doesn't look strong. Always throwing picks in practice. We heard all these things, comparing other quarterbacks that used to be on the team to to our starter. And have we answered the questions yet? Is my question that's my first question. For people, the naysayers about Brock Purdy, has he answered the questions yet? Or how far into the season do we have to go to see that this kid is pretty solid? He's pretty solid at the very least. And I get our talk about upside. I get it. Absolutely. We all want upside, right? But sometimes the talent isn't enough. Sometimes the talent isn't enough. Sometimes it's more important to have it all up here, to have it all up there, and to know where you're going with the ball, to making your reads, to making all those things. That sometimes that is more important than the upside. And throwing away that because of upside is not the play. That's just what it is sometimes. Now, with that being said, so like I said, we vibing. I am so stoked about this win for multiple reasons. I would say this 49er defense found a way to, I feel like they kind of coasted through this game. I don't even think this was a tough test for them. I mean, if we're being honest, I think that I think the Steelers' offensive line is bad. Straight up and down. Now, they weren't bad the whole game. They had their little pockets where you saw that 49ers didn't really get the pressure. But for the most part, I would say that their offensive line is bad. The questions that I had about the running game and about this 49er defense being able to handle run, that all of the beat writers were saying that they had to shore up because of what we saw in preseason and in practice. I think those questions got answered today. They're like, it's either that or this Pittsburgh offensive line is even worse than what I'm making it out to be. So the defense answered the questions about the run defense. Let's see exactly how good they were. So Pittsburgh had a total of 41 yards rushing in this game. Now, granted, they were down early, and Najee Harris only got 6 carries. They held Najee Harris 6 carries. And granted, Najee Harris had 5.2 yards average. He had 31 yards off of those 6 carries, but all of them were he had 25 of them, 24 of those yards came off of one run. So, really in 5 carries, he had 7 yards. Like he broke out for one at the end of the half, I believe it was, and that was it. But this defense answered the bell when it came to the run defense. They're just as good as they were last year. That's what I'm seeing. In fact, I think that they might be a little bit better because, like I said, I think they coasted through this game. That was the vibe I got from this defense, is that the 49ers were just whoo. And what's going on, my man, Edgar? Appreciate you coming through. Niner Bros, Bang Boys dominate all sectors with intelligent positioning and tactical. Oh, man. He using all the big words. But look, this defense, you're not going to – they had 2 picks. They had – how many sacks? They had 5 sacks in the game. Most of it came in garbage time. But Drake Jackson, if you know, Like I'm telling you, and I said this at the beginning, like throughout the offseason, that I thought that you could tell by the way that they were moving with that they were planning on Drake Jackson being that guy. Now, granted, did he play the whole game? No. Him and Cleveland Farrell kind of they were using both of them because they had both on a pitch count, which they talked all this stuff about. Oh, he's going to get as many snaps as he can take. Yeah, no, that would that was just silly. And but the reality is the good part about that is with Bosa as a part of a rotation, Drake Jackson got 3 sacks. Javon Hargrave got 1. Kerry Hyder got 1. I mean, and tackle for let's see. Tackles for loss. They had 8 tackles for loss. I mean, this defense is going to be nasty again. And I said at the beginning of training camp that this, just on paper, this defense looked like it could be better than last year. When you add a Javon Hargrave into the mix, and he is everything that's advertised. He is a rock. He is a who was the guy that DJ Jones? He is a DJ Jones on steroids. No pun intended. I'm not accusing Javon Hargrave of being on steroids, but he is a juiced up DJ Jones that gives you some pass rush ability, and him pushing the pocket in the middle. He was pushing that pocket all game long, and it was an epiphany to this defense. There was just no way when you've got that going for you, and then you've got those edges screaming off the edge. You've got Warner, and Greenlaw was everywhere. And then you've got Huff kind of floating around, blitzing from random moments. It's controlled chaos, and I love to watch it. I love to watch it. It was great. Oh, Daytona in the building. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Here's the thing. But I don't understand this, and I'm going to get into it. I promise you, Daytona. I promise you, I'm going to get into the stuff, the bad stuff, after I finish celebrating. We need to celebrate this win because there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk by some negative content creators / beat writers, and I'm not going to mention names. There was a lot of negative talk. But our common sense prevailed. I'm just going to say that. Common sense prevailed. And they're going to throw out all their qualifiers and all the reasons why it wasn't exactly like that they never said this, they never said that. They're going to throw out all that stuff. But the reality is we all know. We all know what was said. We all know all the naysayers. We heard all of it. But common sense prevailed. Shanny and this coaching staff is a very good coaching staff. Half of the stuff that we were worried about, we should not have been worried about. And I'm guilty of it too. I let it creep in. All the bad talk, I let it creep in. But I would refuse to say that Shanny is not a good coach. Now, with that being said, let you know what, before we even get to that part, let's move over. We got to talk about the offense because all I've been talking about is the defense so far. But oh yeah, no, all I saw was I was afraid AJ Watt was going to rip off Purdy's arm and beat him with it. Like that's what I thought was going to happen. But look, this offense has an opportunity to be just as good as this defense, which is a scary thought. I've said this over and over again on my podcast. If you don't see it by now that this is the best roster in football, then you are sleeping under a rock. You don't want to see it. That's what's going on. You don't want to see it because the weapons are everywhere. Everywhere. Brandon Ayuk is a man child. He's blocking, he's catching balls, he's putting he almost left Patrick Peterson's ACL out on the in the end zone area. I don't know if anybody saw that. But Brandon Ayuk, Debo made a nice grab across the middle and he made a couple of nice moves broke a couple of tackles. Then you've got Christian McCaffrey. So it was bittersweet for me, Christian McCaffrey, because he only got 22 carries, right? It felt like so many more. And the reason why it felt like so many more is because Shanny really didn't start running the ball until the game was almost over. But the way I look at that is game's almost over. You're up at the time by 20. Why are we still running Christian McCaffrey into walls? Why are we calling screenplays? Like I'm not quite understanding why our best players are out there. I'm not understanding, but gonna get to it. Daytona saying Shannon staying here, proud of it. You know what? I'm a Shanny guy, but I cannot say that I was entirely happy with them in this game. I think that these players played their butts off. I think that the game plan was great. Now, and we got to mention we had an Elijah Mitchell sighting. To me, he didn't look good. To me, I'm going to rewatch it again, but to me, this is an instant reaction. I haven't had a chance to really revisit any of this, but he didn't look confident. It looked different the minute McCaffrey wasn't in there, which is why I would have rather saw Jordan Mason at that point. But either way, I digress. But I talked about Debo and then Kittle. Kittle had a nice. They went to him early and then he kind of disappeared throughout the game. But that's what's going to happen when you've got all these weapons. You got all these weapons, and they're not going to throw the ball a ton because they didn't have to. They dominated time of possession. Let me see. I believe they dominated time of possession. Let me see. Let me pull that up. Oh yeah. They dominated time of possession 37 minutes and 23 seconds to 22 minutes, 37 seconds. And so dominated time of possessions. They actually had more penalties than Pittsburgh due to that drive right before that Pittsburgh drive right before the half, which was a whole nother thing. Rushing yards, 188 rushing yards to 41. And then passing yards, you would think that they would have way more passing yards since they didn't have any rushing yards, but we had 203 to their 198, and Pickett was not good. Any kind of pressure, anybody even near him, and he was off. He was off target on his throws. If anybody was breathing on him, he was off target on his throws. So I don't know what that says about their future in this season, but yeah, it was like his timing was all off and his accuracy was all off. But Brock Purdy's wasn't. Brock Purdy's was not. And granted, you're going to look at it and it's going to say 19 and 29, and you're going to say, "Oh well, he wasn't that accurate." For the most part, Brock had a good game. And the way Shanny did this, he only had 220 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns, and he made plays when he needed to make plays. I would say that a few times towards the middle end of the game, he held on to the ball a little too long, and a couple of times I would have rather him just thrown the ball away. I know he's trying to make a play, but we need you to stay healthy the whole game, and you're up. Just throw the ball away. And that's exactly what you ended up doing anyway. So, I mean, he had 2 fumbles in this game. One of them he lost. So, but if you take those out, I would say he had a pretty decent game. Now, with that being said, he's got to get a handle on that part. And balance, it's got to be a balance between the playmaking and the playmaking and the just being safe with the ball. So, also, I mean, I would say, see, now a lot of people are going to get on this team their about the pass protection. But like I said in my pregame, they were going against TJ Watt and Highsmith, and they got some beasts over there. Like, get granted, Cam Hayward ended up having to leave the game early, but TJ Watt is a pretty tough guy, and yes, he had, where is he? He had 3 sacks and 1 forced fumble, or 2 forced fumbles. I think he had 2 forced fumbles. Yeah, he had 5 QB hits. Like, so, I mean, but come on. It was McKivit's first time, and I'm not going to make excuses for him. McKivitz could have been better. McKivitz could have been better, and I'm sure once I watch back this film one more time, it's going to probably look worse than what I remember it being. But I would say that overall the offensive line didn't play bad. I mean, they scored 30 points. They scored 30 points. And granted, the defense was dominant. So they had short fields and like all that kind of stuff. But still, and I think that's a big reason why Purdy didn't have the yards that he probably would have had. Like, but yeah, it's overall. I'm gonna have another show where after I rewatch this game and like kind of really deep dive into what I see. But just as an instant reaction to what we saw, I thought that the offensive line played well. Oh, David's in the house. What's up, David? Yeah, me too. I expected it to be a closer game, but fortunately for us, they were not ready to play, and we were. I don't think that they were prepared for the physicality of this team. I think they were another team that they were touted as being physical, and that they were going to be the physical ones. But I didn't get the sense of any physical nature. The 49ers were out physicaling them, and their corners did not want to tackle. That is for sure. So, and like I said in the pregame, that was one of my biggest questions was were those corners going to be able to tackle? And I think we got our answer. And they were not ready for the physical nature of this team. I'm surprised if they lose the next game because that's what Niners do. Like they beat people into not only losing into beating them with it and getting their guys hurt, but they also end up making them lose the next game. It's a weird stat to have, but yeah, look at that stat up. So yeah, and this is an interesting comment because Pittsburgh planned for Debo screens and Kittle, but it was BA. Like that, I was prepared for a bunch of Debo wide back stuff, but they hadn't been showing it. They hadn't even been talking about it, so it didn't surprise me that we didn't see a lot of it. But I kind of was surprised because I thought that he would just like, oh, okay, here we go. And he had one end around that kind of worked, and then we didn't really go back to it. So, which I like. I think that their offense needs to live right where it is, running the ball with the running backs and keep those crossing pattern, dig routes, all that stuff. That's what I want to see from this team. Because you've got athletes that Those defenders cannot cover all that grass. They just can't. Yeah, absolutely, Randy. The O line is totally a normal O line. I thought so. I didn't think it was terrible by any stretch. I get it about the sacks. I get it about the pressures. Probably we're gonna find out like that they got a terrible grades on PFF. I don't care. I don't care. I think in the balance of the game and like just the vibe of the game, I didn't ever get the idea that the 49ers could not drop back to pass. Now, with that being said, we've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about it. The only time where I felt uncomfortable with the offensive line was when they should not have been throwing in the first place. I tweeted out a bunch of times during the game about it would be nice if we could get Christian McCaffrey off the field. We're up 20 going into the fourth quarter. We could get him off the field and be running a tandem of Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason. With the Steelers being on the field the whole game, like the defense being on the field the whole game, it was prime time to get Jordan Mason in that game and just wearing them out with his physicality and his energy. That was prime moment to do that. And I feel like Shanny just doesn't understand that part of the game. And it sounds weird to say that he doesn't understand it because I'm sure somebody is going to, I'm hoping somebody asks them the question of why he left his starters in so much. Because Trent Williams almost got hurt. I mean, we were running CMC into the ground towards the end of the game, and I get it that they only ended up being 22 carries, but we were up 20. There was no need. There was no need at all to be still passing and putting Brock in harm's way. Brock is running for first downs in the fourth quarter. In the past, Shanny has always trusted in his defense and like almost to a fault, but now it's like he almost because he has trust in Brock, it's almost like he switched the entire opposite direction. And now he almost has too much confidence in Brock, in my opinion. I think that they need to lean more on the run game, just like they always have. And then you use Brock for the decision making that he has when you need to throw the ball. You still have a dominant running back in Christian McCaffrey. You still have a good running back room. There's no reason. Especially when you've got the upper hand. Like, I don't understand at all. But Roberto in the house, appreciate you coming through, fam. Oh, where is he? Where is he? We're friends, so we can. But oh yeah, you know what it is. Like tell our friends. You know, you got to tell all of your friends to tell their friends so we can be friends every day, every week. And like this is the thing. Oh, I don't even think I said it in the beginning. Make sure you like this video. Make sure that you give me a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And also, I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Check out the Facebook page. Make sure you join that. Also, I have a group by the same name, Niner Fanatic Content Central. So make sure you join all that. And content creators out there, make sure you hit me up so you can so I can have you drop all your content on my page. I just want to drop it all on my page, not for me, for you. I want everybody to see it. So get involved. And if you don't want to look at this face, I got you. I got you still. All you got to do is anywhere where you can get your audio content. I got you. I'm on every audio podcast platform. So make sure that you look for me there too. But I don't want to sound like I'm complaining too much about Shanny because there was so much to like in this game. But I'm just worried because of obvious reasons of what has happened to this team in the past that I still don't think Shanny has this down. His situational football is still off to me, and I don't get it. I don't get it. You would have thought that this would have been the offseason that finally clicked, and he finally said to himself, I've got to just do the right thing at the right time. And it still doesn't look like it clicked. It just doesn't. Like when you're up 20 points in the fourth quarter, run the ball. Just run the ball. I don't care if you get another touchdown. You run the ball. Run the ball, run the clock out. We're trying to keep this team as healthy as possible because it's not about getting the week one. The victory was there for the taking. It's not about that. It's about getting through this game so we can get to the next one with all of our guys intact. And it's not, and I don't want to hear about, oh, it's football. I don't want to hear about it's football. If your defense can't hold a team, they've been holding the team all game long. If they can't hold a team 20 points in for one quarter, then you've got bigger issues. You've got bigger issues. Period. So that's all. I just want to see him improve his game management skills, and because I want this team to make it all the way. And I don't think that there's another team that could mess with this team if they can just get there with their guys intact. We know that along the way, we're probably going to lose 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but we need to keep it to a minimum. So let's get there. But yeah, so it is what it is. Like I feel bad for the Steeler fans because there was all kinds of hype coming in for them, and we heard it all. We heard all the chatter. We all thought this was going to be a close game, but there was so much hype, and I'd said a lot in the last couple of shows that I don't know what their offensive line is going to look like, and because it's been bad, and I also said this. Not that I have anything against Mike Tomlin, but his team was not ready to play today. His team was not ready to play at home. So at what point, the 49ers got to the NFC Championship game last year, and we're looking at Shanny sideways. All this whole offseason, they're looking at him sideways. So at what point do the fans for Pittsburgh start looking at Mike Tomlin sideways? Because that team that I saw out there today was not ready to play. They had a couple of good players, but that offense was atrocious. That offense was not ready to play. That quarterback definitely was not ready to play. The offensive line was not ready to play. Najee Harris had nowhere to go. The wide receivers, for the most part, could not get open. They were not physical. Pickens, who I thought would be the most physical out of all of them, looked like a bargain basement DK Metcalf to me. And I heard a lot of stuff about Pickens, and I've seen some Pickens do some spectacular things. But I said before the game in my pregame, I wasn't worried about him when he was matched up against Charvarius Ward, because that's when Charvarius shines, when he has to go up against those bigger wide receivers. I was not. Let's put it this way: if we had to face them again, I'm not afraid of these wide receivers. Not now that we know we have a pass rush, and that there is not going to be a drop off in that respect. So, but with that being said, I am going. Oh, and David, got to answer my guy's question. Is it the Steelers weren't ready, or is it our defense is just that good? It could be. It could be that we're just that good. Could be. I would prefer the way I look at that. The way I look at that is the 49ers have good players. We know that. But there's some good play. We've seen the players on that Pittsburgh team play a lot better than they played today. We've seen it. They made the playoffs last year, right? They made the playoffs last year. And this is a team that had high expectations coming in. They added some pieces. I like I just wonder. The physicality of the 49ers was not matched. We've seen teams at least attempt to match the physicality. The 49ers, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. You got to do is turn on the TV and look at the tape. You know what's coming with the 49ers. They're going to hit you in the mouth and keep hitting you in the mouth until the end of the game. They're going to keep hitting you in the mouth. You have to be able to match that physicality. And there's a couple of teams out there that, to this point, like the Cowboys, like the Eagles, there's a couple of teams out there that have been able to match the physicality. I would say even the Chiefs on offense match the physicality. But you've got to be able to match the physicality. And so that when I say that they weren't ready to play, they were not ready for the physicality. It showed. They started getting down. You saw it. They lost hope by halftime. And then everybody thought that score at the end of the game, when they were led down the field by the refs, that was going to get them back in the game. And then what happened? 49ers threw a haymaker coming right out of the half with the Christian McCaffrey run, and they were right back down in the dumps. So that's my point. Is I would think that a Tomlin coach team, as much as he has touted as a guy that gets his guys up to play, I feel like his guys had lost their confidence. They did not look good. They didn't look like they had hope. I mean, Pickens was on the bench throwing his hands up. Pickett had terrible body language throughout the game. Kenny Pickett had terrible body language throughout the game. It just didn't look good. It didn't look good. And I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. I could be wrong on all accounts. But to me, that's what it looked like. And I will say this, it's not the first time. It's not the first time. So yeah, and I'm gonna mention this too. Like for me too, I agree with this. Drake Jackson gets my game ball 3 sacks. Teams will now need to account for Bosa and Jackson now. RIP opposing QBs. Look here. Okay. And this is the thing. Did anybody else notice? Did anybody else notice how long Drake Jackson is and how he can reach? It's almost like it only takes him a couple of steps to get to the quarterback. He's so long that he gets like his limbs around the quarterback so quickly that it just makes people uncomfortable. I feel like it's kind of weird. I'll be honest. It looks really weird as an edge. It really does. But I loved it. I loved it. Love this game all the way around. I mean, not all the way around, but there was a couple of things, like I said, I just mentioned. I don't want to dwell on those things because I think that that's something that we need to keep an eye on as 49er fans, as far as the game management goes. But we're vibing. We're vibing today. And we got this week 1 win. We are 1-0. The 49ers are 1-0. Next opponent is, I should have known this already, the Rams. RIP the Rams. It's going to be a long day for them. It's going to be a very long day for them. That is a bad team. But I'm going to get into that later in the week. As it is, I got to get out of here. I got to go do some stuff. But I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate McNiner, Daytona, Roberto. There was another guy in here. Oh, Edgar. Like, appreciate that guy coming through too. Like, I appreciate everybody coming through. Enjoy this victory, guys. Enjoy it. I will be back on. I will be back on Tuesday to after I go over my film and like after I watch the game, rewatch the game, and like kind of give a really too soon look at the Rams. And I'll break down this game a little bit more. And then Wednesday we've got Last Man Standing coming up with me and Beto and whoever else is on that panel that week. But that's a great show. Make sure you tune in to make sure you check out that show this Wednesday, and then I'll be back that next Sunday for is it Sunday game? No, they didn't. They don't really say. Whatever the 17th is. I think it's still a set. Oh, it's Sunday. So next Sunday I will be back same time, like not same time, but right before the game, probably an hour before the game. I'll be doing a show then, and then I'll be doing my after game show. So I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm gonna go and enjoy this game, but you guys have a good rest of your night. Enjoy the game. Go take a drink for me, and yeah, I will see you Tuesday. But as always, go Niners.